Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We are the Real Pineapple. This is Hunter here. I'm here with Scott. Scott, how you doing, sir?
Doing good, bud. What's up?
Nothing, man. Just, podding away. And I'm here with Colin. Colin,
hey,
how you
me
doing,
too.
good sir?
I'm good. What's up, guys?
Hey, buddy.
What's up?
Nothing, brah. Just getting in this podcast game,
Just grinding, on that grind.
Just on that grind. And we're here talking about a movie I'm very curious to get Colin's thoughts on.
Yeah, you would be.
I'm curious to hear what you thought of this. We haven't talked about our first impressions of this movie at all at this point, so this is raw right here.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it, so you guys are gonna have to really guide me along,
Yeah.
Pretend it's my first time, and really just kind of really lead me down what happened in the Hitman's Bodyguard, because I want to know about the Hitman,
Yeah.
but I also want to know about the Hitman's Bodyguard.
We got you, man.
Yeah, so we're talking
Okay.
about the Hitman's Bodyguard, which stars Deadpool himself, Ryan Reynolds. It's Deadpool and Nick Fury in a movie together. It's Samuel
Yeah.
Jackson. That's how I'm equating it. What do you expect? But,
That's always your reference is
Yeah.
Marvel.
Shocker. And they're fighting Commissioner Gordon.
yeah,
Right.
they're fighting Commissioner Gordon in something that's kind of like Hydra. That's kind of what.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, perfect movie.
I love Gary Oldman. He's the best.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So I'm gonna say right now, this movie, I didn't look at the Rotten Tomatoes score before going in, but it's like at a 38%. I want to say.
Yeah.
On yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Below 50.
It's pretty low, and I gotta admit, guys, I don't get why. Honestly, I enjoyed this.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Look,
Here we go again.
Look, here's the thing.
Tell me what it's about, Hunter. So Samuel Jackson's like the bad dude, sort of.
Yeah,
Or
Samuel
he's-
Jackson is bald and black, and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
is
He's
bald.
an anti-hero. He's a
Okay,
bad
right.
guy, but he's a good guy
Uh-huh.
in this because there's
Right,
there's a worse guy.
Yeah, he's
Mhm.
he's a bad guy with a heart of gold, if you will.
So they team up, right? Like do they make out?
There is no full frontal Ryan Reynolds or Samuel Jackson. Hashtag not blessed. But
You didn't confirm or deny my question. Do they make out or what?
they do not.
Oh.
They get close.
See, okay.
So
Yeah.
so Ryan Reynolds works for Interpol, I believe what it is, Colin.
Did he work for Interpol, or did he just have a AAA rating that was like, you know what I mean? I didn't know. I didn't get that. Because I didn't feel like he got kicked out. I feel like he lost his rating right at the start.
That's a fair point. To be fair, I don't think they ever make that super clear.
No, and trust me, I will get into all of that.
He's just like a cop figure. Right?
He's a bodyguard. He's like
Yeah.
a bodyguard for like crazy foreign ambassadors or people that are that have a lot of money on their head to be murdered. So he's keeping these like really powerful people, like keeping them safe while they're in other countries or whatnot. And at the start, he's like the best. He's AAA rating, which is like a made-up thing that this movie is just like the greatest hitman. The greatest hitmans are AAA.
AARP.
And he's like, and fucking Ryan Reynolds is AAA. And then like his main person that he's getting that he's keeping safe gets assassinated. And I bet you can't guess who did it, but that's a spoiler. But is it
Gary Oldman?
Okay,
This is kind
I'll
of
tell
obvious.
You right now, Colin, I was shocked when I found out who it was, but whatever.
That's fine.
So I feel like I've sort of seen like the majority of this movie throughout the advertisements. Like I feel like we really were force fed this movie. No.
The thing about the movie, Scott, is that you've seen this movie before. There's nothing about this movie that will surprise you as far as the plot. What I will say about it is I laughed. And I laughed a lot during this, actually. Yes, Samuel Jackson's kind of doing his, his mother. He's pretty much
The
playing,
same thing he does every movie.
Hey, you hold your tongue. He's doing the whole motherfucker thing. He probably says motherfucker 15 times in this movie.
Yeah, it's almost like he's a caricature of himself, like throughout
That's a good way to put it.
Like he's making fun of himself for sure, like being over the top Sam Jackson.
Yeah, this is kind of like that movie that Ryan Reynolds did, and Colin, to kind of lend credit to your point, because I have a feeling you don't like this movie. I was sitting there the whole time thinking, this is kind of like that movie he did with Denzel, Safe House, except it's a comedy.
Yeah, it is, but it's very different because of the fact that it's like got a comedic like musical track playing the entire time.
Yeah, so Ryan Reynolds, I will say, he's so hit and miss. I mean, for every waiting, there's oh god, I can't even think of anything that Ryan Reynolds has been in recently. Oh yeah, he's in Life, and I actually liked him in Life. Ryan Reynolds.
So he's good in everything, basically, is what you're saying.
Correct, yeah.
There's never been a movie made with Ryan Reynolds that was bad.
Yeah, good.
Right. At least you get to look at him the whole time. I mean, like,
yeah,
come on, boys.
Now we're talking about some of my pros for this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get into that.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is good. But I mean,
but Scott, back to just like describing like what like the overall plot of this movie is like. So the main point of the movie is that there's this horrible dictator played by Gary Oldman who's from Belarus for some reason. They're like, why not just make him Russian? They're like, there's been too many Russians. Let's do the country next to Russia. So he's like a Belarus like dictator that's done like horrible like crimes against humanity. And the only person that knows about it is Samuel Jackson, and apparently has proof, but he didn't tell anybody he had proof. But he has proof at the end. I guess before it was just, Interpol is this agency that's hired to protect him, to get him to the court case, basically. Interpol fails horribly.
He's his bodyguard.
Yeah.
Like, so to speak.
he's the hitman's bodyguard.
Yeah, so, well, originally the bodyguarding was being done by this company, Interpol, that has, like, 20 of the best, like, all AAA rated bodyguards.
And I love the AAA rating.
Yeah, the AAA rating is actually a big part of this movie. They say it like 100 times.
Okay.
But so the 20 guys and like a couple girls that are all these bodyguards, like they're transporting Samuel Jackson out of like the craziest prison in London because he's this horrible hitman, and they all get killed, of course, except for like the girl that used to date Ryan Reynolds, who's not AAA rated anymore, but she's like, hey, all these guys just got murdered. We had 19 and that didn't work, but like, let's just have you do it now, and it should work. And then that's where we go. All of a sudden, Ryan Reynolds is bodyguarding this hitman, trying to get him to a big court case to prove Gary Oldman is a horrible dictator. And then,
so the whole movie is them basically teaming up together. Well, I mean, so like the majority of the movie is them teamed up together.
Yeah, Gary Oldman. I forgot to mention Gary Oldman has like a never-ending wave of goons from Belarus that show up in all these countries. They're just everywhere, and then there'll be like a swarm of 50 of them come out of nowhere, and it'll be a car chase or a big fight scene.
Just any excuse for a car chase with guns.
Yeah. So that's your plot. And
nice.
then,
I mean, I probably could have guessed that.
But like, I think to Hunter's point, like he didn't care about any of that. It's just like the meat of the scenes is all Ryan Reynolds and Samuel Jackson. So Hunter, I'll let you get into that.
Yeah, and the thing is, when it's just the two of them, the movie's funny because the first time they interact, we didn't mention the ex, Ryan Reynolds' ex, is played by Elodie Young, Electra from Daredevil.
Yeah, she's the one that calls him after. She's the one Interpol agent.
For you.
So
she was also in Gods of Egypt, by the way.
I'm sorry, what was that?
She was also in Gods of Egypt, that classic movie of 2016.
Yeah, we're not mentioning
that's
that.
A classic.
She was great.
When is the second coming out?
God damn it. But so here's where we're clearly gonna disagree. I thought that once the movie got going with them, because it really is Samuel Jackson just busting Ryan Reynolds' balls pretty much the whole movie, and I found genuine amusement out of that. They really do have a fun back and forth, and they actually wrote some jokes that made me laugh really hard. There's a point where they are out in the middle of a cow pasture after this assassination attempt basically on them, and I was laughing really hard at that. And
there's some good lines in it. It's like there's so many like lines of Samuel Jackson just ripping Ryan Reynolds to shreds, just busting his balls. And I was sitting there in the theater and I was just like, this is the best thing Hunter's seen. And it's not unfunny, a lot of it.
The thing is, because he's like emasculating Ryan Reynolds, talking about how you can keep your girl and she's the one person who could put up with you because you're a talkative motherfucker. It's like it's not admittedly the most clever lines, but I did find myself just laughing really hard at it.
It sounds like a movie that I wouldn't like.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you don't have any taste, so you wouldn't like it. But
because you know exactly what's gonna happen. Everything is like set up, and it sounds like I could tell what was gonna happen in this movie. It helps that they advertise the shit out of it, but like it's Sam Jackson making fun of Ryan Reynolds the whole time, and there's guns and cars, and like I don't know. So take it away as someone who's seen it.
But before I throw it back to Colin real quick, one thing I will say. The action in it, there is this Atomic Blonde-esque kind of one-shot action scene, and it works way better than it has any right to, because they really take advantage of how funny Ryan Reynolds is, but they take advantage of the action too, and it works pretty damn well. I think what doesn't work as far as the action, the chase scenes are pretty boring. Like, that is something that I was... Like, as much as I enjoyed this movie, I had to go, yeah, the chase scenes just didn't really do anything for me. When there's like hand to hand and there's just like shootouts, that's fun. But I mean, there's only maybe two. I think it's like 2 chase scenes in here, but they do go on for fucking ever.
Yeah. There's one boat chase scene where Sam Jackson's driving a boat. And Samuel Jackson looks like the most uncomfortable person driving a boat down like the middle of like, I think they're in Amsterdam at that point. Yeah, and he's driving down this canal and he looks so uncomfortable. That's one of the chase scenes that I agree with you on that one.
Okay, throwing it back to you, Colin.
To continue off your point, I like that there is a good hand-to-hand combat scene, well directed. I did, like, when I saw that scene you were talking about, I was like, this has no business being in this movie because it's really good.
Damn.
No, because it was like a genuine, like you said, like it was like good choreographed, like Bourne Identity, hand to hand, like a lot of things happening. Like it was like the way they were bouncing around inside this like kitchen and like inside of a shop. It was really well done. I don't like a lot of the action. Like I didn't think was very good though. Like when there's the wave of goons from Belarus like coming out of nowhere and they're just all firing, and like this
Belarus.
Keep in mind that this movie is like super violent. Like so it's funny.
Is it R? Is this R?
It's super R. It's like the most R. Except
okay,
there's no.
I guess all the motherfuckers.
Yeah, a lot of motherfuckers. There's no gratuitous nudity, but there is like there is like a super high volume of violence. So like all the goons are getting shot in the head by like Ryan Reynolds or
Sam Jackson.
Sam Jackson or whoever. Like the Interpol guys are in a big fight at the start. And like that, I felt like was trying to kind of be like cool, like Ryan Reynolds going through a bunch of guys, and it was like trying to be John Wick-esque, but like wasn't like nearly as good. So that was like, I was like, oh, I've seen better like recently, like very recently, I've seen like way better. So it was just like for trying to do that type of scene, it wasn't as good. But And the other thing that I thought it was funny was that I felt like a lot of those scenes where like stuff like that was happening, they would put like silly, like fun, almost like Brooklyn Nine-Nine music like in the background through all of it to make it seem lighthearted, but it's still super crazy violent where people's heads are like exit holes with blood going all over the back of like the wall. Which is fine, but I was like, I don't know what to think about this movie as far as tone goes during like the action. And then there's like on top of that note with like the weird like changes in tone and like I didn't know what I was watching at times. It was like there's like a really like intense like kind of like crazy like interrogation like torture scene that kind of comes out of nowhere. And like Ryan Reynolds is trying to say things that are kind of funny, but I was like, this is not funny. This is like horrifying.
What you didn't like? I thought the Scouts honor thing was kind of funny. I laughed at that.
Well, that was like right before it started, and then it was like really brutal torture. Like I think like as far as the director goes, he really likes over the top violence, but he's like, no, it's silly and fun. And like parts of it, I was like, oh, I don't know if it's silly and fun. So like those parts were like none of this part of this movie is for me. Like I would rather watch like Ryan Reynolds and Sam Jackson in like something that's like not so hardcore, and then they can just like kind of be like witty banter between the two, although a lot of this isn't witty at all. It's just like Sam Jackson being like, motherfucker, you're so dumb.
Yeah, it was great.
See, that's what I feel like the whole movie would be for me. That just doesn't sound enjoyable. That doesn't sound funny.
Yeah, he's like AAA, like what are you selling insurance or like changing someone's tire or something
that
like that?
Was
There's
funny.
like
that was funny to me.
It's like the lowest hanging fruit, and they created that joke based off of like a dumb thing that like bodyguards are called in this universe of the movie. They're like, oh, let's just say that he's AAA rated, so we can write him a joke in later, like midway through the like.
This is gonna kill. This show's gonna kill.
So I was like, oh man, they totally wrote in the AAA rating just for that one joke. So I mean, a lot of the jokes are not like they're not highbrow. I'll put it that way. But that doesn't mean that it's not like funny. Like so parts of it are really funny. One of the parts that I really laughed, like, cause to throw a couple more pros in for the movie, because I'm not gonna give it like the worst grade, but like one time, like all these nuns pick up Ryan Reynolds and Sam Jackson. And like already I'm just like, okay, this is just one of those like scenes that this movie's doing to set up a joke. But then that was like really funny because they were all singing this like Italian like fun nun song, and Sam Jackson's just like knows all the words and he's clapping along like right next to Ryan Reynolds, who's the most miserable person in the world. So like Samuel Jackson just loving life and how much like he's making Ryan Reynolds' life horrible, like that's all funny. So
in that, and I'm just jumping real quick.
Yeah, go. Yeah,
that just
take
helped me as far as the whole movie, because that's 85% of the movie is Sam Jackson like trying to escape or calling Ryan Reynolds a motherfucker or talking about how he's a pussy and just all these like emasculating things, and Ryan Reynolds just hating his life and me laughing really hard. So I will admit, Colin, that the fruit is very low hanging for a lot of these jokes. I mean, a lot of the jokes are just motherfuckers and bitch and stuff like that. But we haven't even mentioned her. Salma Hayek is in this really randomly, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know how old Salma Hayek is. She can still get it as far as I'm concerned. She looks amazing.
She doesn't look that old, so if she is old, she looks great.
Yeah, she my God. And she's just as bad as Sam Jackson. I mean, she's dropping motherfuckers too. It was like, oh, all right.
She's like doing like her best Samuel Jackson impression, which is kind of funny because she's Salma Hayek. She's like the thickest like Latin accent ever.
Dude, she's 51. Holy shit!
Wow,
good for her.
Damn,
I guess that.
Mm-hmm.
Good for her, because she does not look it at all. That is fuck. God damn, good for her. So, you know, Colin, I'm gonna save your rating for last because I'm very curious what you're gonna give it. Look, I had fun with this. I really enjoyed it. There were a lot of jokes I laughed really hard at. Gary Oldman, they even give him a villain role, and they just kind of they might as well say he's like related to Vladimir Putin. Like they might as well just come out and say that, because that's clearly what they're going for. They didn't come out and say it, but yeah, a lot of the action scenes for me worked. The humor, I was laughing really hard pretty much the whole movie, and I will admit, Colin, there are some clashes in tones. Yeah, that torture scene is pretty much straight out of the first Lethal Weapon. Doesn't really belong in this movie, but yeah, I enjoyed this. I'm gonna give this a solid B. I thought this was fun. So yeah, solid B for me. Colin, your final thoughts and grades, sir.
Yeah. I didn't laugh as much as you. I know that. Like, a lot of the low-hanging fruit jokes didn't land, I thought, initially. And, man, I don't know. Like, a lot of the scenes, some of them are, like, cringeworthy to me, in fact. But, like, a lot of it gets saved by Ryan Reynolds. He does a good job. He does his character in this well. He kind of, like, goes away from being Deadpool in that humorous role where he's kind of the person annoying everyone, and now he's the one being annoyed, and I thought he did that well. He can do either. And then Samuel Jackson's it's Samuel Jackson. He probably read the script, and it's like it's written for Samuel Jackson. Like, this movie wouldn't exist without him being the guy in this movie. But, like, I'm sure he read the script, and he's just like, how much will you pay me? And he's like, yeah, sign me up. Like, this will be the easiest thing I've ever done. Because he's just rolling up. Like, half the time he's like laughing. Like, he's just I feel like some of these times when he's laughing on film after he says something to Ryan Reynolds, it's like improv, or he just like genuinely, I don't know, he's laughing at like half the stuff he says, which can be infectious. So I mean, I really liked Ryan Reynolds and Samuel Jackson, but I mean, as far as the movie goes, I mean, this dude did Expendables 3. By the way, Patrick Hughes. He was the director.
That's an instant classic.
Yeah, so I mean, like, your action's coming from that guy. Man, like, it's an action movie. It's like terrible, like bad. Like, I did not like any of the action stuff. Aside from that one really good choreographed kind of one-shotter, I'll give the movie credit for that. But yeah, man, I no way I can go into the B range. So I'm probably I'm just gonna do a full grade lower than Hunter, so it's a C. Yeah, it's a C. It's no better than a C.
Boo! I gave it a B for Bodyguard, by the way.
I love when we give grades to things like just based on some keywords to a movie.
Well, you know, credit to you, because I'll be honest, I left the theater thinking that's a B+ or A-, but as Colin brought up points, I went, yeah, that's all very valid. So I kind of need to. Like that.
I'm sure so many people can go into this and have a good time. Like there's
it's like, you know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah,
right?
if you know exactly what you're getting into, and like I'm down to see like Sam Jackson shit all over Ryan Reynolds on screen for like over an hour and a half. Like,
I'd watch
more
that
power.
too,
Yeah, more power to you. Go grab a beer and see Hitman's Bodyguard. But just don't expect any like well-written jokes.
And I'm gonna give this an N for never gonna see it.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you.
Sorry, Hunter. I'm not sorry.
Well, I'll give you B, Scott, for below me. What about that?
I will accept.
On IMDb, though, I did run through I ran through some of the user reviews, and people loved it. A lot of people loved it. A lot of everyday Joes going to see Hitman's Bodyguard. Said they laughed a whole bunch.
Well, it's the 39% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's got a 76% audience score, which is pretty high.
Yeah, critically not great, but people seem to like it.
Now, the Nut Job 2 Nutty by Nature, on the other hand, both critics and audiences were not thrilled. Yeah, which is something that I'm going to be campaigning for us to go see. So just stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned.
Well, guys, let us know what you thought of the Hitman's Bodyguard, #1 movie for the weekend. By the way, 21.6 million. So
did well.
I'm curious what the budget was on it, but yeah,
we'll see. That's not gonna last. That's not gonna last.
I read budget was 30.
Oh, well, see, dude, it's already.
Ooh.
Yeah, it'll probably leave maybe $60 million take.
They'll make a few million.
Yeah, this will turn a profit. So
Yep.
hey, good for them.
Barely.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a real possibility for number 2.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I
yeah,
hope
they're
so.
gonna-
I hope
If they make any money, they'll be like, well, yeah, do another
So
one.
it's
sure.
the next one's gonna be the Bodyguard's Hitman. So
Brilliant. Brilliant.
He's not just. I mean,
That
you can
writes
have that one
itself.
for free.
That writes
Yeah,
itself
exactly.
right there.
Exactly. I can see it now.
Yeah. But guys, let us know what you thought. You can follow us here on SoundCloud at The Real Pineapple. Follow us on iTunes and Podbean and Google Music now at The Real Pineapple. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple. Follow Scott on Twitter at
Newman the First.
You can follow Colin on Twitter at
The Real O'Neill.
Guys, thanks so much for listening. We will, since I don't think there's anything coming out this week, we will review the Nut Job 2. Why the fuck not?
Yay!
Oh, no. It's really happening.
We will do that. We will do a
Oh, we're
review
gonna
for
we're
Nut
gonna
Job.
get fucking nutty up in here.
Wow.
And we're actually going to have a review up for Vice Principals Season 1, because Season 2 comes out in 3 weeks. I'm so excited for that. But guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you soon.